You ever wake up, scroll your feed, and think, wait, did I just read that right? Because this week's headline sounds less like Fox News and more like an episode of The Real Housewives of Turning Point USA. Candace Owens didn't just drop a statement, she dropped a detonation. The internet's now asking if Charlie Kirk's widow, Erica, is the grieving wife, or the plot twist no one saw coming. It's got everything: love, politics, betrayal, and a private jet that apparently decided to ghost the radar. So buckle up, because this story is about to unfold faster than Candace's next live stream. From the outside, Charlie and Erica Kirk look like the conservative dream team, the power couple that gave Fox News producers goosebumps. He was the loud, headline-grabbing political firebrand. She was the elegant, faith-driven partner, always camera-ready, always quoting scripture, always glowing under soft lighting. Together, they were picture-perfect, like if God, guns, and country had a wedding registry. They weren't just partners in marriage, they were co-stars in the ultimate right-wing romance. The public saw loyalty, the followers saw purpose, and the press, well, they saw content for days. But here's the thing about perfect pictures. Zoom in close enough and you'll see the cracks in the frame. Then came the shock that turned that golden image into a headline no one saw coming. Charlie Kirk, gone, just like that. No long illness, no warning, just a sudden chaotic tragedy that left millions stunned and one woman in the spotlight. At first, Erica was America's widow, strong, composed, quoting verses about loss and faith while standing beside the same podium her husband once ruled. She was the face of grace under fire. But it didn't take long before people started whispering. The tone of her speeches felt too calm. The timing of her posts felt too polished. It was the kind of composure that looked less like heartbreak and more like PR management. And in an era where the internet can turn a smirk into a smoking gun, that was all it took. Supporters said, she's just holding it together. Critics said, she's holding something back. And in the middle of that storm, a familiar voice stepped into the chat. Candace Owens. You could practically hear her heels clicking from across the timeline, ready to flip the entire narrative upside down. Because when Candace Owens walks into a story, she doesn't bring condolences. She brings receipts. And her first clue? A mysterious flight that vanished faster than a scandal in campaign season. Now this is where things go from tragic to straight up movie script. An hour. That's all it took. Just 60 minutes after the chaos, when police were still cordoning off the scene and reporters were still scrambling for quotes. A sleek private jet reportedly lifted off from Provo Airport. No big deal, right? Except mid-flight, its public tracking vanished. Gone. Off the grid. No signal, no coordinates, no explanation. And the internet? Oh, the internet lives for this kind of mystery. Reddit sleuths, flight radar junkies, and self-proclaimed aviation insiders went full Mission Impossible. They cross-checked timestamps, matched departure codes, even pulled screenshots of the aircraft's ADS-B signal before it mysteriously disappeared. To the untrained eye, it's just an aviation glitch. But to conspiracy Twitter, it's a getaway plane. And the pilot just pressed the disappear button. And here's where things get wild. Because that single flight became the digital equivalent of a smoking gun. Some said it carried someone fleeing the scene. Others swore it was a political fixer pulling the strings behind the curtain. And the most popular theory, that it was a cover-up on wings. A one-way flight from suspicion to silence. Then Candace Owens entered the chat and instantly made it 10 times louder. She reposted a screenshot allegedly from an aviation insider, circled the timestamp, and wrote just was one word: interesting. That's it. No essay, no rant. Just one spicy word that set the internet ablaze. Because that's the thing about Candace. She doesn't need to say much. She just drops a digital breadcrumb and lets the crowd go feral. Within hours, hashtags like #JetGate, #Who was in the plane, and #Charlie's last flight started trending. Even aviation geeks were like, bro, I just wanted to track Delta flights, not solve a murder mystery. And while some shrugged it off as classic online hysteria, others pointed out the timing was a little too perfect. Why would a private jet, one that supposedly linked to the same city and hour of the shooting, suddenly go dark right then? It's either a coincidence worthy of a Hallmark miracle or the world's most polite cover-up. Supporters of Owens called it proof something bigger was at play. Critics called it airborne gossip. But one thing was certain, the narrative had officially taken off. Because if you think a disappearing jet was dramatic, wait till you see what happens when Candace Owens turns grief into a one-woman investigation team. The calm widow versus the fiery truth seeker, it's not politics anymore, it's personal. And then, like thunder rolling in on a sunny day, she arrived. Candace Owens didn't knock on the door of this story. She kicked it open, tossed her sunglasses on the floor, and said, "Alright, who's lying?" At first, people thought she'd post one of her usual spicy tweets, maybe a cryptic X thread or two, but no. Candace went full throttle detective mode. Live streams, voice cracks, Bible quotes, fury, tears, receipts. She didn't just enter the chat, she took over the group. Her first post was classic Candace, short, deadly, and dripping with suspicion. She wrote, "Something about this doesn't feel right." That one sentence detonated across the internet like an emotional grenade. Within hours, her fans were flooding timelines with theories. Was it an inside job, a political hit, or as one viral comment put it, the world's most dramatic marriage plot twist? People weren't just watching the investigation unfold, they were choosing sides. Team Candace said she was asking the questions everyone else was too afraid to. Team Erica said she was exploiting tragedy for clout. Either way, the drama had leveled up from sad event to trending series. And let's be real, Candace knows how to build a headline. She doesn't sip tea, she brews the whole pot, adds jet fuel, and serves it on live stream. Her next video opened with her signature calm before the storm. "I loved Charlie, he was my friend, and something here doesn't add up." Boom, instant goosebumps. It wasn't just commentary anymore, it was confession, accusation, and eulogy, all rolled into one viral monologue. The internet's collective jaw hit the floor. She hinted at inconsistencies in Erica's story, pointed out weird social media activity, and even suggested financial motives. Then mid-rant, she dropped the line that will probably live on in digital history. "He wasn't betrayed by politics, he was betrayed by his pillow." That single phrase, equal parts poetic and nuclear, turned Twitter into a courtroom. Every word from Erica after that was cross-examined like evidence. Screenshots were dissected, funeral footage was replayed, lip readers tried to decode her whispers. Meanwhile, Candace's view count skyrocketed faster than a campaign scandal, and to her followers, she wasn't stirring drama, she was avenging a fallen friend. They called her brave, unfiltered, unstoppable. Her critics called her dangerous, but hey, in the influencer politics world, dangerous usually means going viral. The genius or chaos of Candace's approach was that she mixed sincerity with suspicion so smoothly that you couldn't tell if she was mourning or prosecuting. One minute she's crying, the next she's pulling up timestamps. It was raw emotion meets Fox News special meets true crime docuseries. Her feed became ground zero for the entire saga, and whether you loved her or couldn't stand her, you couldn't look away. Candace had turned grief into gripping television, and the internet was eating it up. But if Candace was the storm, Erica was the still water, and that calm was starting to look suspiciously deep, because what Erica did next left everyone wondering, was she a woman of faith or a masterclass in public relations poker? The widow who wouldn't cry, while Candace was out there crying, raging, and practically turning into the Sherlock Holmes of conservative Twitter, Erica Kirk was calm, like unsettlingly calm. Picture this, the whole internet is melting down, hashtags are on fire, and Erica steps out looking like she's headed to Sunday service. Bible in one hand, serenity in the other. No trembling voice, no tears, just peace. And somehow that peace scared people more than panic ever could, because in a world that expects widows to break down, scream, and demand justice, Erica's stillness looked almost rehearsed, like she'd practiced grief in front of a mirror. When she finally broke her silence, the world waited for a raw emotional confession. What they got was a press release. She wrote, "I forgive those who spread lies. My conscience is clear. I trust in God's plan." That's beautiful, but also chilling. It was the kind of statement that makes half of America say amen, and the other half whisper, that's exactly what a villain would say. Candace pounced like a hawk that smelled blood. "Forgive lies?" she said on stream. "No one accused you of lying, unless you've got something to confess." Cue a million comment sections exploding with, "She's got a point." To her defenders, Erica's composure was strength under fire. Proof that she was clinging to faith while the world tore her apart. To skeptics, it was cold, cold, calculated, and way too tidy. As one viral tweet put it, she's acting like a woman giving a TED Talk on grief, not living through it. The funeral didn't help either. Thousands attended. Politicians, preachers, influencers, the whole conservative A-list. But one face was missing, Candace Owens. And if you know Candace, that's not an oversight. That's a declaration of war. Candace claims she wasn't invited. She said she was blocked from attending. Her followers ran with it, flooding Twitter with #JusticeForCharlie and #Erica exposed hashtags like digital pitchforks. For them, it was proof the widow wasn't just grieving, she was guarding secrets. Meanwhile, clips from the funeral started circulating. People slowed down her expressions like they were analyzing a crime scene. See that smile? That's not sadness. Why isn't she crying? Who wears designer heels to a funeral? The internet had turned into a courtroom, and Erica was on trial for her emotions. But here's the twist. Erica leaned into it. No frantic posts, no defensive rants. Just scripture quotes and a perfectly lit photo captioned, "Forgiveness heals all wounds." She didn't fight the storm, she floated above it, and that's what made her even more suspicious. Because while Candace was shouting for truth, Erica was quietly turning her husband's tragedy into a legacy brand, complete with speaking tours, interviews, and book rumors. The grieving widow had become the movement's new face, and people couldn't decide if that was inspiring or terrifying. But the internet doesn't stay quiet for long, and just when it seemed like everyone had picked a side, one rumor sent everything spiraling again. It wasn't about what Erica said this time, it was about what she might have inherited, the money motive rumor mill. Every scandal has that moment, when the whispers shift from emotional to financial, and in this saga, that moment hit like a thunderclap. It started with one rumor, unverified of course, that Erica Kirk had received a massive life insurance payout after Charlie's death. No documents, no confirmation, just a few anonymous insiders and one very juicy phrase, financial irregularities. Cue the internet losing its collective mind. Suddenly, widow wasn't the word trending next to Erica's name, motive was, because when grief meets money, people stop whispering and start theorizing. Was Erica's calm composure the strength of faith or the confidence of someone cashing a quiet check? Candace Owens wasted no time fanning the flames. She hinted, oh so strategically, that financial records might show inconsistencies. No proof, no documents, just that classic Candace tease, the verbal spark that sets comment sections ablaze. Her fans called it courage. Her critics called it clickbait with mascara. And yet, the more she said, the less anyone seemed to know. Behind the curtain, rumors kept mutating. Neighbors allegedly spoke of money arguments. Anonymous sources described ugly fights over finances. Screaming matches behind perfect Instagram smiles. Some even claimed there were hidden accounts. Family cash that could divide, not unite. Suddenly, this wasn't about ideology anymore. It was about greed, betrayal, and secrets with dollar signs attached. The narrative flipped overnight. Was Charlie Kirk's death a political hit, or a domestic Cold War fueled by money, power, and pride? Online sleuths began connecting dots that maybe shouldn't have been connected. Inheritance timing, insurance policies, tax filings, even the price tag of Erica's latest outfit. And if the internet can turn a Starbucks cup into proof of a loony, imagine what it did with this. Meanwhile, Candace doubled down. To her, the red flags weren't red, they were neon. In her words, when love and loyalty collide with money and legacy, you find the truth buried in the bank statement. Within hours, that quote was everywhere. On Reels, on podcasts, on Reddit threads with 200 comment brawls. The money theory had officially gone viral. Erica's supporters fought back, calling it digital witch hunting. They said Candace was exploiting tragedy for views, but Owens' camp fired right back. We're not accusing, we're investigating. At this point, the story had left the realm of facts and entered the twilight zone of suspicion, and the deeper people dug, the murkier it got. Private jets, life insurance, loyalty posts, and late-night sermons, all pieces of a jigsaw puzzle that might not even exist. Transition hook. But just when it seemed the chaos couldn't get any messier, one last twist dropped. The kind that made even Candace pause mid-rant. Because now it wasn't about money, politics, or betrayal. It was about who really knew Charlie best, and who might have wanted him gone. And now we enter the part of the story where alleged betrayal stops sounding like a theory, and starts feeling like a Netflix plot twist. When neighbors started talking, the internet went silent for once, because the tea was nuclear. Behind the Instagram perfect marriage of Charlie and Erica Kirk, they claimed was chaos, explosive fights, screaming matches so loud the walls could have filed for a restraining order, arguments about money that would have made Wall Street traders blush. The picture-perfect conservative power couple? According to those next-door witnesses, it was more like Keeping Up with the Kirks, the divorce edition. Whispers swirled about a multi-million-dollar fortune, money that could bind a family together or rip it apart. And with Charlie's death, the rumor mill shifted gears from grief to greed. Was this a political assassination or just a very expensive family argument that went too far? And then, because of course it had to be her, Candace Owens took that gasoline and lit it on fire. Candace treated Erica's composure like a confession. To her, the real betrayal wasn't from the political left, but from the bedroom on the right. She made it clear, Charlie wasn't betrayed by his enemies. He was betrayed by his pillow. Mick drop. The internet exploded. That one phrase, half poetry, half war cry, went viral like a sonic boom. Betrayed by his pillow wasn't just trending, it was tattooed on the internet's memory. Clips, memes, and TikToks flooded timelines faster than PR damage control could keep up. Some said Candace was finally saying what everyone was afraid to. Others accused her of weaponizing tragedy for clicks. But regardless of where you stood, you were watching. Candace's next move sealed it. She posted a slideshow tribute to Charlie, laughing selfies, behind-the-scenes moments, speeches, private dinners, raw, emotional, real. People cried. Even Charlie's critics admitted the tribute hit different. It felt like Candace was grieving harder than the widow herself. That contrast, the raw tears versus the composed smile, was gasoline on the fire. Erica's faith-driven calm suddenly looked more like an emotional force field. Was she holding it together or holding something in? Critics called it performance. Supporters called it strength. But to the online jury, she wasn't just Charlie's widow anymore. She was the prime suspect in a story with no proof but endless passion. And when Candace dropped her now iconic live stream, eyes red, voice trembling, promising the truth will come out, you could feel the shift. The crowd wasn't mourning anymore. They were investigating. They were angry, and they wanted answers. But here's the wild part. Just as the world started turning on Erica, one unexpected voice stepped in to defend her. And that twist changed everything. Because in this battle of grief and gossip, the person who spoke next didn't pick a side. He tried to end the war. Candace's meltdown goes mega viral. By this point, the feud had already turned social media into a digital cage match. Erica's serene faith posts versus Candace's emotional storm. But what happened next? Candace's infamous meltdown stream turned the whole saga from trending topic into cultural earthquake. It started like any other live stream. The camera clicked on, lighting too bright, eyes rimmed red. Candace didn't even open with her usual fire. She just sat there, quiet, trembling, breathing heavy. Then came the words that would echo across the internet for days. I can't stay quiet anymore. Charlie was my friend, and this isn't right. Boom. Instant goosebumps. That was the first tremor before the explosion. Within minutes, the emotion cracked open. Her voice broke mid-sentence. She pounded the desk, tears streaming down mascara-streaked cheeks, rage and heartbreak swirling together in real time. It wasn't a speech, it was a detonation. The chat went berserk. Hearts, fire emojis. Yes, queen, speak truth. Others just typed one word. Wow. Because this wasn't the polished, bulletproof Candace Owens people were used to. This was raw Candace. No script, no soundbite, no Fox News filter, and the internet, which normally eats sincerity alive, for once didn't mock it. They felt it. Clips of the stream spread like wildfire. She's crying for Charlie. She's exposing the truth. She's lost it. Everyone had a take, and every take went viral. The algorithm smelled drama and did what algorithms do best. It fed it to everyone, everywhere. TikTok edits, Twitter compilations, YouTube shorts with ominous piano music and slow zooms. Candace's tears became thumbnails. Her trembling hand became the meme of the week. And just when people thought she was done, she looked dead into the camera and whispered, he wasn't betrayed by politics. He was betrayed by his pillow. Silence. Then, detonation 2.0. That line was Shakespeare-level shade wrapped in conspiracy energy. People didn't even know what it meant, but it felt devastating. It was poetic, chilling, and vague enough to keep Reddit busy for a month. The hashtag #betrayedbyhispillow trended worldwide within hours. Merch, literal t-shirts, popped up by sunrise. One podcast host said it was the most savage savage one-liner in political commentary history. Suddenly, Candace wasn't just a commentator. She was the main character. News anchors played the clip. Reaction channels reacted to the reaction channels reacting to her meltdown. Her follower count exploded like a fireworks finale, but the viral fame came with a cost. Her critics said she'd crossed the line, that she'd turned grief into theater, tragedy into TikTok. Her supporters called it divine truth, delivered in tears. Either way, the meltdown had done something no press release could. It shifted public sympathy overnight. For millions, the calm widow now looked suspiciously cold, and the weeping friend, suddenly she was the truth teller. In the internet's moral math, emotion equals honesty, and Candace was drowning in both. By sunrise, her clip had more reach than most cable news segments, and even the people who swore they hated her couldn't stop watching. Because love her or loathe her, Candace Owens had just pulled off the impossible. She made America cry, gasp, argue, and click, all in one broadcast. But emotion can only carry you so far before the facts come calling. And that's exactly what happened next, because the morning after the meltdown, something big dropped. An official indictment, a 22-year-old suspect, and a storyline that would drag this drama from gossip to full-blown political thriller. Inside Job, witnesses said the shooter, Tyler Robinson, moved like he'd been trained. Calm, precise, almost professional. How did he know Charlie's schedule, layout, exit path? Somebody had to feed him that info. Candace said it loud. This was an inside job. Cue dramatic zoom. Ominous music, and the collective gasp of conservative America. But that's not even the craziest part, because the next twist could have come straight from a Netflix trailer. Candace then claimed Charlie was pressured by a billionaire named Bill Amann to change his political stance, and when he refused, the threat started. Now, we're not saying it's a plot from House of Cards, but even Kevin Spacey would have said, yeah, that's too much. So where does all this leave us? In a political soap opera that even TMZ would hesitate to touch. The faith, fury, and fallout. As the dust settles, one question keeps echoing. Who really betrayed Charlie Kirk? Was it a political hit, a domestic power play, or just the internet spinning grief into gossip? Candace swears she'll drop receipts soon. Erica swears she's innocent. The truth probably still hiding behind someone's locked notes app. So who do you believe, the fiery crusader or the calm widow? Drop your theory below. I read every single one, and if this story made your jaw drop, hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell, because the next chapter of this political soap opera is already loading. This isn't just politics anymore. It's betrayal, faith, money, and power, served with a side of scandal.